Hey there, globetrotters and political junkies. Today we're diving headfirst into the ring with two heavyweight champions of the world, the United States of America and the Russian Federation. These guys are like the Shaq and Kobe of global politics. Always in the spotlight, always making headlines, and always keeping things interesting. Now, comparing countries is a bit like comparing apples and borscht. They're both delicious in their own right, but they come from different trees, or in this case, different histories, cultures, and ideologies. But hey, that's what makes this whole thing so fascinating, right? So buckle up as we break down the stats, size up the competition, and see what makes these two global giants tick. We'll be exploring everything from their sprawling landscapes to their economic muscles, from their military might to their cultural clout. By the end of this showdown, you'll have a better understanding of what makes America America and Russia Russia. And who knows, you might even walk away with a newfound appreciation for both. Let's get ready to rumble. First up, let's talk real estate. The United States, with its 50 states and sprawling territories, clocks in at a whopping 3.8 million square miles. That's bigger than the entire continent of Australia. From the sun-kissed beaches of California to the bustling metropolis of New York City, America's got it all: mountains, deserts, forests, you name it. And don't forget about Alaska, the last frontier, which alone is bigger than many countries combined. It's so big, you could fit 7 United Kingdoms inside it and still have room for a Texas-sized barbecue. With so much space, it's no wonder Americans love their cars, their wide-open spaces, and their super-sized everything. But hey, more space also means more resources, more diversity, and more room to grow. Now let's hop across the pond to Russia, the largest country on Earth. We're talking a mind-boggling 6.6 million square miles of landmass stretching across 11 time zones. That's almost twice the size of the United States. This is a country where you can travel for days on the Trans-Siberian Railway and still feel like you've only scratched the surface. From the frozen tundra of Siberia to the majestic peaks of the Caucasus Mountains, Russia's landscape is as diverse as its history. But all that space comes with its own set of challenges. Think extreme weather conditions, vast distances between major cities, and the logistical nightmare of defending such a massive territory. Still, there's something undeniably epic about a country that spans 2 continents and borders 14 other nations. When it comes to population, the US takes the lead, but not by a landslide. The United States boasts a population of around 335 million people, making it the 3rd most populous country in the world. That's a whole lot of diversity, folks, with people from all walks of life, backgrounds, and beliefs calling America home. Russia, on the other hand, has a population of roughly 144 million. That's less than half the size of the US population, spread out over a much larger area. And while Russia is certainly a diverse country, with over 190 ethnic groups, it faces challenges like a declining birth rate and a shrinking workforce. So, what does this mean in the grand scheme of things? Well, a larger population can translate to a larger workforce, a larger consumer market, and more brainpower to drive innovation. But it also means more mouths to feed, more houses to build, and more resources to manage. It's a delicate balancing act, folks. Section 5, money talks, but in what language? Let's talk money, honey. When it comes to economic firepower, the United States still reigns supreme. With a GDP of over $26 trillion, it's the world's largest economy by a significant margin. From tech giants in Silicon Valley to financial powerhouses on Wall Street, the US economy is a force to be reckoned with. Russia, while no slouch in the economic arena, lags behind with a GDP of around $1.8 trillion. It's still a major player in the global economy, thanks to its vast natural resources, particularly oil and natural gas. But its economy has been hit hard by sanctions, corruption, and a reliance on energy exports. So, what does this mean for you and me? Well, a stronger economy generally translates to a higher standard of living, better healthcare, and more opportunities for its citizens. But it's not always about the size of the economy, folks. It's about how that wealth is distributed, how sustainable the growth is, and what impact it has on the lives of everyday people. Section 6, nuclear noodles and other military delights. Now, for the part you've all been waiting for, the military showdown. Both the US and Russia are nuclear-armed superpowers with enough firepower to make the world tremble. The US boasts the most powerful military in the world, with cutting-edge technology, a global network of bases, and a defense budget larger than the next 10 countries combined. Russia, however, is no slouch in the military department either. It has the world's largest nuclear arsenal, a formidable arsenal of conventional weapons, and a long history of military prowess. But here's the thing about nuclear weapons. They're like that weird pasta salad your aunt brings to every family gathering. You don't really want to eat it, but you also don't want to offend anyone, so it just sits there, a silent reminder of potential disaster. The good news is, both countries understand the gravity of using these weapons and are committed to preventing a nuclear apocalypse. Section 7, Soft Power, Hard Power, and Everything in Between. Military might isn't everything, folks. In today's interconnected world, influence is often wielded through less conventional means. Think culture, diplomacy, and economic clout. This is where things get really interesting. The United States, with its global reach and cultural exports like Hollywood movies, pop music, and fast food, has long been a master of soft power. It's the kind of influence that makes you crave a Big Mac while watching the Super Bowl, even if you're halfway across the world. Russia, on the other hand, has its own unique brand of influence, often characterized by a mix of hard power and sharp elbows. Think energy diplomacy, military interventions, and a knack for playing geopolitical chess. The truth is, both countries use a combination of soft power and hard power to achieve their foreign policy objectives. It's a delicate dance of carrots and sticks, persuasion and coercion, and it's constantly evolving. Section 8, From Hollywood to Red Square Cultural Exports. Let's be real, folks. Culture is a powerful thing. It shapes our perceptions, influences our tastes, and can even bridge divides between nations. And when it comes to cultural exports, the United States is an undisputed heavyweight champion. From the bright lights of Hollywood to the catchy tunes of pop stars like Beyoncé and Taylor Swift, American culture has permeated every corner of the globe. We're talking movies, music, fashion, food, and even social media trends. Love it or hate it, you can't deny the global reach of American pop culture. Russia, while not as ubiquitous on the global cultural scene, has its own unique contributions to offer. Think classical music by composers like Tchaikovsky and Rachmaninoff, world-renowned ballet companies like the Bolshoi, and literary giants like Tolstoy and Dostoevsky. But it's not just about high culture, folks. Russia also has a rich tradition of folk music, dance, and art, as well as a growing contemporary art scene. And let's not forget about the enduring popularity of Russian nesting dolls, those adorable wooden figures that never seem to end. Section 9, Allies and Adversaries, Picking a Side. In the global arena, it's not just about who you are, but who you hang with. Both the United States and Russia have a complex web of alliances and partnerships, forged over decades of diplomacy, conflict, and shifting geopolitical sands. The United States, with its network of NATO allies, enjoys strong relationships with many countries in Europe, Asia, and the Americas. These alliances provide military support, economic cooperation, and a united front on the world stage. Russia, on the other hand, has historically relied on a smaller circle of allies, including countries like China, India, and several former Soviet republics. These relationships are often characterized by shared interests, regional cooperation, and a healthy dose of pragmatism. But let's be real, folks. In the world of international relations, there are no permanent friends, only permanent interests. Alliances can shift, partnerships can dissolve, and even the most bitter rivals can find common ground when it suits them. Section 10, The Bear and the Eagle, a rivalry for the ages. The relationship between the United States and Russia has been marked by periods of cooperation, competition, and outright conflict. From the Cold War rivalry that defined much of the 20th century to the current tensions over Ukraine and cyber warfare, these two titans have a knack for keeping the world on edge. Some argue that their rivalry is rooted in fundamental ideological differences: democracy versus authoritarianism, capitalism versus state control, individual liberty versus collective responsibility. Others point to geopolitical factors like competition for resources, influence, and spheres of control. Whatever the reasons, the rivalry between the United States and Russia continues to shape the global landscape. It influences everything from international security to economic trends to the very future of global order. Section 11, what do you think? So, there you have it, folks. A whirlwind tour of two of the most powerful and influential countries on Earth. We've explored their size, their economies, their militaries, their cultures, and their place in the world. But this is just the tip of the iceberg, folks. There's so much more to learn about these fascinating and complex countries. So, I'm throwing it back to you, my fellow global citizens. What are your thoughts on the United States and Russia? What fascinates you? What concerns you? Share your insights, your opinions, and your burning questions in the comments below. Let's keep the conversation going.